As weeks turned into months, my online friendship with Alex deepened. We share our dreams, affairs, and everything in between. Conversation that started with innocent messages on Instagram soon evolved into late night chats that seemed to stretch endlessly. It was as if we couldn't get enough of each other's virtual presence. My best friend Amanda began to voice her concerns. She had seen too many news stories about online friendships gone awry. She'd heard about the dangers of meeting strangers from internet in real life. Amanda pleaded with me to be cautious, to prioritize my safety. She told me stories of unsuspecting victims lured into danger situations by people they had met online. But I was too connected with Alex and the idea of meeting him. He was charming, witty, and seemed to genuinely care about me. After all those months of talking, it felt like I knew him better than some of my real life friends. I trusted him. Then one day the message came. Alex suggested that we meet in person, that we take our friendship beyond the virtual world. My heart raced as I read his proposal, and I hesitated for a moment. Was this really a good idea? But something in me longed for the face-to-face connection, for the chance to truly know this person who had become such an important part of my life. After a few attempts at convincing me, I agreed to meet Alex. We chose a local coffee shop as our meeting place. It seemed safe, public, and far from ominous scenarios I had heard about in the news. Amanda was beside herself with worry, but I assured her that I would be cautious, that we'd meet in public space, and that I'd keep her updated on our plans. The day of meeting arrived, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. I made sure to share my location with Amanda through my phone, just in case. We had set a time for a meeting, and I arrived at the coffee shop a little early. I sat at the corner table, nervously sipping my latte and glancing at my phone for any updates from Alex. Minutes turned into an hour, and there was still no signs of him. Panic began to creep into my mind. I texted Alex repeatedly, but there was no response. I wondered if he had second thoughts, if he had changed his mind about meeting. But just as I was about to give up hope, I received a text from an unknown number. The message was cryptic, and I didn't understand what it meant. It simply read, "You should have listened to your friend." Confusion washed over me, and I looked around the coffee shop, searching for any sign of Alex or an explanation. Then another message came, and this creeped the hell out of me. It was a picture of me sitting in the coffee shop, taken from a distance. How could someone have taken a photo of me without my knowledge? My phone buzzed again, and this time the message was chilling. "I'm closer than you think," it read. Terror gripped me, and I knew I had to get out of there. I left the coffee shop in a hurry, my heart pounding in my chest. I called Amanda as I walked to my car, tears streaming down my face. She urged me to drive to the police station and file a report. As I left the coffee shop, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being followed. Every shadow, every car that drove by seemed like a potential threat. I drove to the police station, but when I got there, I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched. The fear was overwhelming, and I couldn't bring myself to go inside. Instead, I decided to go to Amanda's house. It was nearby, and I thought that being with her would provide some comfort. I parked outside her place and texted her, letting her know that I was there. But when I looked in my rearview mirror, I saw a car parked a few spaces away, and my heart sank. It was the same car I had noticed following me earlier. I panicked and called Amanda. She told me to lock my doors, stay in the car, and wait for her. As I huddled into my driver's seat, I couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. Minutes later, Amanda arrived, and she helped me inside her house. She called the police and reported the strange car outside. As the police arrived at Amanda's house, Alex must have sensed that his plan was unraveling. He quickly made a desperate attempt to flee the scene. His car's engines roared to life, and he sped away, leaving behind an aura of fear and uncertainty. The relief of seeing Alex retreat was overshadowed by the knowledge that he was still out there, a constant threat. Amanda gave the police a description of his car, and they set off in the pursuit. I couldn't help but wonder if the police would be able to apprehend him before he could do more harm. While the police were hot on his tail, I received a series of new messages on my phone. They were from an unknown number, but the words were definitely menacing. I won't stop until I find you. One message read. You can't hide forever, said another. The messages continued to pour in, each one more disturbing than the last. My heart pounded as I realized that Alex was still watching, still taunting me. He seemed relentless, and the fear that he had been temporarily suppressed now rushed back in like a tidal wave. I clutched my phone and showed the messages to Amanda. She urged me to block the number and not respond. The police continued their pursuit, and it was a tense waiting game, not knowing when or if they would catch Alex. As we sat in Amanda's living room, the minutes felt like hours. I couldn't shake the feeling that Alex was lurking somewhere nearby, just out of sight, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Amanda tried to console me, assuring me that the police were doing everything they could to locate him. After what felt like an eternity, we received a call from the police. They had apprehended Alex, and his car was impounded. He was taken into custody, and he would face charges for stalking and harassment. The relief was palpable, and I allowed myself to breathe a sigh of relief. Despite his capture, the fear still lingered. I knew that a restraining order would be necessary, but the thought of being in such a close proximity to someone who had posed such a threat was unsettling. The legal proceedings that followed were daunting, and I had to recount the entire ordeal in detail. It felt like Alex's presence loomed over me, even when he was behind bars. The messages and threat had left a lasting mark on my psyche, and I struggled to regain a sense of safety and normality. In the end, as the truth came out, it was revealed that Alex had a history of stalking and harassment. He had targeted several individuals he had met online, and I narrowly escaped becoming one of his victims. He had planned to kidnap me that day, and I shuddered at the thought of what might have happened if I hadn't trusted my instincts and reached out to Amanda. I was left with a deep sense of betrayal and trauma. My faith in online friendships had been shattered, and I realized that sometimes the people we think we know can be the most dangerous of all. Alex was arrested and faced charges for his actions. I had to undergo therapy to deal with the emotional aftermath of the ordeal. I also had to reevaluate my approach to online relationships, realizing that not everyone is who they appear to be.